honorable guests on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure in welcoming all of you on this most auspicious occasion of the inauguration of the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapitha Research Center in affiliation with Mumbai University. I really appreciate the effort and the time all of you have taken to join us for this occasion. Today, one of the greatest challenges in India is how do we restore relevance and respect for our Vedic ancient tradition. If we try to analyze the problems we are facing today, it would be interesting to compare with two countries in the world, China and United States. In the 1960s, China went through what is known as the Cultural Revolution. It was called the Cultural Revolution, but the entire effort was to remove any semblance of Chinese culture in society. Various kinds of impositions were made, and specifically old ideas, old culture, old customs, and old habits were systematically demolished. Temples, monasteries, books, artifacts, various kinds of things which were connected with the ancient Chinese civilization were systematically dismantled and removed. But in due course of time, the impact of this was seen by society, and it was found that there was a severe moral decay and identity crisis amongst the population in China. When the Chinese government realized this, in the recent times there has been a tremendous boost in investments in trying to expand the idea of a Chinese cultural revolution in terms of connecting with the ancient Chinese civilization. There has been a lot of money which has been invested by the Chinese government to revive Confucius philosophy. Institutes, libraries, festivals, values connected to Confucius philosophy has been promoted like anything. And in the last few decades, there has been a total transformation in the emphasis and the priorities by the Chinese government, because they want the world to know China not just as a manufacturing superpower, but also a superpower in terms of cultural ethos and values. The second example is in United States. Although United States of America came officially into existence in 1776, way back in 1636, Harvard University was established, and 1701, Yale University was established, and both were established as theological institutes. These were meant to be institutions where religion and spirituality, specifically with respect to training people in Christianity, was established. Later, with the impact of Industrial Revolution and Darwinian theory, from the 1776 onwards till 1870, these spiritual values, culture, and theological understanding was very, very widespread. But as Darwinian theory became more prominent and the effects and impact of the Industrial Revolution was seen, the respect which natural sciences and technology started gaining in the eyes of the people grew. As a result of this, people started questioning the relevance of religious values, theological principles, and the period between 1870 to 1925 is known as the age of research universities, where, gradually speaking, new research methods in religious studies were introduced, which were influenced by the natural sciences. People also started questioning the validity of theological studies, and to a great extent, this was connected to the gaining respect and relevance of science and technology. The third period from 1925 to 1965 was very interesting. The world saw the influence of two world wars where millions of people were killed. United States in particular saw in the late 1920s a huge economic upheaval. Millions of people, they became bankrupt. And as a result, people started questioning, is science and technology the only means to establish righteousness, justice, compassion, peace in society? Intelligent people started questioning and started looking for alternatives. And this is the period in which religious studies started gaining ground. And so this period of 1925 to 1965 is known as the age of Protestant establishment. And during this period, the world saw that in the United States of America, institutes, programs, courses, funding, endowments, specifically with respect to religious studies, grew like anything. And in the 1945 to 1960 period, in the United States, religious studies programs saw a 100% increase in the number of students being taken, and there was a 60% increase in the PhD programs which happened in the same period. The fourth era happened in America post 1963. 1963 was the year when the American Academy of Religion was established. What began in 1909 as the Biblical Institute for Teaching Theology became in 1933 as the National Institute for Teaching Bible, and that formally got established in 1963, opening the doors to religious studies of all denominations, and it was known as the American Academy of Religion, which was meant to foster excellence in religious studies. And you'll be amazed to know that today, American Academy of Religion has more than 10,000 members. Every year, in the month of November, the American Academy of Religion organized their annual conference where more than 10,000 people actually gather. Following in the footsteps of Christianity, Buddhism also grew, especially in America, and in the academic study of religion, we found universities like Naropa, University of the West, and Soka University, to name a few, which not only were involved in the academic study of Buddhism, but also in applied solutions and narratives to deal with real-life problems which society was facing, problems like stress, relationship issues, and as many of you know, the world over, more than 300 million people suffer from depression. Could some of these applications from our ancient traditions be of value to modern-day contemporary society? When we look at India, India has been an amazing example of heritage, culture, values, and wisdom. In the Maurya, Gupta, Vijayanagar dynasties, and also the Maratha Empire, it was very common to see that the entirety of India was connected mainly on the basis of culture, tradition, and values. Various reformers, including Shankaracharya, Sripad Ramanujacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they traveled the length and breadth of India, uniting this nation on the basis of culture, tradition, and spiritual wisdom. From 1000 AD onwards, there was an influx of foreign rule. And in that period between 1000 AD to 1425 AD, in that period alone, more than 80 million Indians lost their lives. In the period between 1000 AD to 1900 AD, the GDP's contribution of India with respect to the rest of the world went down from 36% to 1%. And in 1947, India's GDP was 3%. The literacy rate amongst men was 16% and among women was 8% in 1947. At this stage, we found that the effect of this kind of an invasion was a loss in confidence of Indians in their own traditional knowledge systems. This loss in confidence in our own knowledge systems resulted in the loss of confidence in our culture and tradition. And this ultimately led to the greater loss, which is the loss of confidence in our own identity. And this results in an identity crisis. But for those who feel that the attacks ended in 1947, they are mistaken. The attacks continued beyond 1947, and post-independence, there were academic attacks on Hinduism in the form of cultural appropriations, psychoanalytic interpretations, and portrayal of the irrelevance of Hinduism. And the overall impact of this on society was the youth became demoralized and disconnected from their own tradition. This spiritual disconnection led to a decay in society. There was an increase in consumerism, loss of values. There is a stress epidemic amongst the youth and widespread confusion about their own identity. In conclusion, I would like to say that we are largely responsible for not grasping the gravity of the situation with respect to the impact which the loss in values has had on society. The world's population is 7.6 billion. 31% of the population are Christians. Just over 23% are Muslims. 16% come in the category of agnostics, skeptics, atheists, secularists, etc. The fourth largest group at 15% of the world population at 1.08 billion, auspicious figure 108, are the Hindus. And then the Buddhists are just over 7%. And it is astonishing that Hindus being amongst the top 5 large segments of the world's population, there is practically not sufficient emphasis on the proper approach to academic understanding of Hinduism and studies connected to this. The Bhaktivedanta Vidyapitha Research Center is a humble effort to create a world-class research center to preserve and adapt our philosophical traditions to be able to reveal practical solutions which society is grappling with. The Bhaktivedanta Vidyapitha Research Center attempts to preserve, research and present the rich heritage of ancient Indian philosophical tradition focused on Hindu personalism, specifically dealing with ethics, emotions, environment, efficiency, and entrepreneurship. We hope that our efforts will be of great importance and significance to people at large. In this journey, we are indeed very grateful to Mumbai University, and I would like to especially thank the Honorable Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellor of Mumbai University, the administration of Mumbai University, as also the Philosophy Department, who have very kindly given a very helping hand to us in our journey. We began with a group of few students at the Govardhan Eco Village as part of what was known as the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapitha. I would like to express my gratitude to His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, His Grace Damodar Prabhu, His Grace Radhika Vallabh Prabhu, who have been consistently teaching, leading, and organizing the efforts here at the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapitha. And because of that beginning, we could actually come till today where we could actually establish a research center. I would like to also place on record our heartfelt gratitude to His Holiness Radhanath Swami for being the visionary behind this project. He has for many years emphasized on how we should have a systematic approach to education and studies. Our Bhaktivedanta Academy for Culture and Education was established in 2004 thanks to his repeated efforts and encouragement and inspiration. Inspired by His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, Sri Ajay Piramalji has opened his heart and offered 3 acres of land at Piramal Vaikunt complex in Thane. And one of the ardent desires which the family and Radhanath Maharaj have in their heart is a center of excellence in academics is established. And I'm happy to say that today is the beginning of that journey where the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapitha Research Center has now been allowed to admit 8 students every year to offer PhD in philosophy and Vaishnavism. We're also happy to share with you that we are very soon launching a whole series of diploma and certificate courses which will be affiliated to Mumbai University, and more information about these courses will be shared with all of you and the rest of the world. My gratitude to Dr. Narendra Desai, who is no longer with us physically, but in spirit he is always with us, because it was one of his very dear desires to have a college of this sort. And in fact, way back in 2006, we were trying to get another parcel of land somewhere else for this particular effort. But I'm sure today he will be very much present with all of us in spirit, because this was his dream also, which we are trying to fulfill. And on his behalf, his son, Kushal Desai, is here with us. And I'm very grateful to Kushal Bhai for being with us, helping us in this journey and taking us to the next level as far as the research center is concerned. We have 2 other very dear well-wishers who are not with us, Mr. Rishikesh Bhai Mafatlal and Rajiv Srivastav. Both have been very much a part of this journey, but due to other time commitments, they are not present today in today's event. We are also very grateful to them for their continuous support, not only for this research center here in Mumbai, but also to the sister concerned Bhaktivedanta Research Center at Kolkata, which has more than 25,000 manuscripts, and very soon going to become a center of excellence in academics. I would end with a note of gratitude to His Holiness Bhakti Brihad Bhagwat Swami Maharaj, who's here with us. He's also the co-president of ISKCON Juhu, and he is the director of the Mayapur University. And thanks to his inspiration and effort, we got the opportunity to begin a journey in academics in Bhaktivedanta Research Center at Kolkata. And hopefully in the next 10 years, the seeds which we are sowing today should fructify in the form of a Srila Prabhupada University. This is also a very unique project because we have the Chopati temple and the Juhu temple coming together, because the main research advisor for our Bhaktivedanta Vidyapitha Research Center is the Vice President of ISKCON Juhu, His Grace Mukunda Madhav Prabhu Dr. Thanigai Malai. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj connected us to many luminaries in the world of scholarship across the world, who are also connected to Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnava philosophy for many, many years. I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Graham Schweik, Dr. David Heberman, Dr. Ravi Gupta, Dr. Ferdinando Sadella, Dr. Abhishek Ghosh, who are all connected to various institutes of reputation in the West. Also, my gratitude to Shaunaka Rishi Prabhu from Oxford Center for Hindu Studies, Dr. Sumanta Rudra, Dr. Snehal Donde, Dr. Ram Badode, Anurag Pratik, Ras Govind Prabhu, Rasik Raman Prabhu, Gopinath Prasad Prabhu, and quite a few others who have been part of this silent but determined journey which we have been going through over the last several years, visiting academic institutions across the world, including GTU, Maharishi University, Brigham Young University, University of Indiana, Harvard, institutes in India like Ramakrishna University, Art of Living University, Amritananda University, trying to see and understand how all of these institutions in different parts of the world are trying to actually share the ancient traditional wisdom in an academic manner. And with these words, I would like to welcome all of you for today's event and look forward to a wonderful association with Mumbai University. Thank you very much.
RG Media YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe.